Hello there. Welcome to the AWS service session. My name is Pawan and I will be taking you through this demo. So let me walk you through the today's agenda. So what is AWS and cloud computing and what are the different services they provide? AWS is an Amazon Web Services which provide cloud computing services over the internet, which has compute, network, storage, database as a service, which is highly scalable, cost effective, and also provide data recovery. Mainly, AWS provide infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, and software as a service. For today's session, we will be covering IAM, CloudTrail, CloudWatch, config rule, Messi, code pipeline, and service catalog. So starting with IAM, I have built some script in Python that allow me to access AWS services programmatically, which follow AWS pay as you go model. Means we have to pay only for what we use. IAM. IAM is also known as Identity and Access Manager. Generally, we used to log in by console with our registered mail ID and password, but this is not a good practice. Instead, we create IAM user which has some access key ID and secret access key. Using this credential, we can access AWS resources programmatically. And then we have IAM policy, which is nothing but a JSON formatted string where we specify permission to allow that user a particular permissions. Like here I have one user and I have given this policy in JSON formatted string that he is allowed to list all type of buckets. So I have script for this. So let me go through the script. So programmatically, using a Python Boto3 library, there is a library called Boto3 which used to interact with AWS services. Using that service, like IAM user service, we can create an IAM role, create their access key IDs and access key, secret access keys. Also we can list, so you can see here I have listed all the different IAM roles in my account. Yeah, and we can also update, delete those users from here using Python, and we can also attach IAM policy. So as we see in slide, I have a different example here. So here I allow all type of DynamoDB actions to that user and apply that policies to that particular user. So this is about IAM user. Moving forward to CloudTrail. What CloudTrail is, whenever an API call happens in an AWS account, it records an event as a CloudTrail. So here I have one example that I have described an event using console. So you can clearly see the event name is describe trail. The region in this API event is happened is US East 1, and which is a console login, and event category is management event. So what is management event? Whenever we create, delete or describe in our AWS account, it record as a management event. And what data events are, whenever we perform certain operation on that AWS resource, it record as a data event and it can be delivered as a log. So I have one use case for this. Let me go through it. So before that, we can provide one config file. So user can specify which type of trail, on which date and which region you want to download that particular log. And also we have created one IAM user for that to access those things programmatically. So using this we can download logs. So here I have created one trail by starting logging and stop logging after some time. We have some logs. The example mentioned in the slide is basically from this script. So we can do this by CloudTrail. Again, apart from this, we can list trail, create trail, describe trail, start logging, get trail, and we can get trail status, updates trail also. Going forward, we have CloudWatch to check system health and information about the AWS resources. AWS record and send metrics for this AWS account at the starting of the AWS account. Means whenever user create AWS account, AWS CloudWatch started recording metrics about all the resources by default. So we refer this metrics to track the information about resource health, which mainly consists of namespace, dimension, and statistics. And what namespace is nothing but a fancy way to call AWS services in AWS universe. Also, for every resources there are different dimensions, like for EC2 instance, auto scaling and load balancing are the dimensions. So using this dimension and metrics we can create dashboard. We can create use alarms from this metrics, and also using this metrics and dimension we can create dashboard. I have done it by programmatically, so we will be seeing this script. And on the other hand, CloudWatch log enables user to store this metrics and dimension as a log for different AWS resources and AWS services like EC2, CloudTrail, and Route 53, and many more. So we quickly go to the code. So here you can see in the CloudWatch I have created alarm, enable that alarm, disable, delete, and here you can see I have created dashboard. Dashboard is for CPU utilization. The next is config and config rule. This service allows us to get current and historical configuration of AWS resources and the relationship between the resources, where AWS resources can be EC2 instance, EBS storage volume, or a security group. And we can put some config rules using AWS config rule. For that, as an example, I have put some config rule for S3 bucket, which is a container from AWS, which allow us to store some different type of files in there. So I have created one S3 bucket and give a public access to it, and created a config rule which show particular bucket as a non-compliant when it is public. So let's go to the code. So I have different buckets in my account, and from here we can see that this particular bucket is non-compliant. So this I have done using the config rule. And also we can also describe or discover some resources using this, like how many IAM users are there, how many security groups are there. We can directly refer the count of these particular AWS resources. And also if we want to get some configuration data about the particular instance, for here I have mentioned instance ID and other details, so I can get that instance configuration. And here we can see also same I have done for the S3 bucket. So S3 bucket name AWS S3 bucket p1, and its configuration is here. So this can be done using the config and config rule. So moving next, we have code pipeline. AWS provides some DevOps tools, which is used for continuous integration and continuous delivery services, which mainly contains steps like build, test, deploy. Through AWS, we can build pipeline, we configure it, update it, even we can prevent artifacts in the pipeline from transition to the next stage in the pipeline. So it will be better to see it through the code. So we can list pipeline, get pipeline, what are the different pipeline we have through the code. And here it's like whenever things present in the pipeline and we want to prevent one of the artifact to transition to the next stage, so we can do it from here. We can stop that pipeline in between. We can do it by code pipeline. Moving next, we have Messi. Messi is a service which uses its AI engine to analyze and classify contents in Amazon S3 bucket, also alert and anomalies and data security downgrade, which triggers action accordingly. So here we can clearly see Messi gives us information like how many buckets are there in my S3, my Amazon account. Like S3 buckets are 4, and from those 2 of them are publicly accessible, and 2 of them are not publicly accessible. 4 of them are unencrypted and 2 of them is shared. So since those 2 belongs to the publicly access, it is as unshared. Currently only S3 bucket supports Messi, and in future they said that Amazon S3 Glacier will be there. So programmatically here we can do is like associate or dissociate a particular account to see information through the Messi. Then we have service catalog. So for this I have one use case. Here as a catalog administrator, I can create a product. Based on that, we can use a AWS Cloud Formation template, which allow us to define AWS resource in it, and then we distribute that product. We distribute that product to end user. So finally, we log in as an end user to test that product, and we can create IAM role to access that product. We also allow certain policies for that user. So in slide we can clearly see I have created this Linux desktop. So before that we can move to the code. So here I have created portfolio and then created a product in and associated that product with the portfolio, create constraints and created the IAM user. So I created a role as a Pawan, which used through this AWS account ID, and that role or that user can launch this product and test this product. That user can launch and test this product from here. So I can test this product by launching from here. So here we came to the end of this session. There are lots of things we can do programmatically using this AWS services. We have done lots of DevOps tools things and other. So there are lots of possibility using AWS. Thank you for this session.